Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Frauds, where myself, Matt, and my co-hosts, Mark
Hello.
and Tyler,
Hello.
providing completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. And today, we are back with the good picks again, doing my director series. Previously, we did Park Chan-wook, but we're moving on from Park Chan-wook for now, and we are now with Yorgos Lanthimos, starting with one of his earlier, probably his breakout film. I guess Lobster's his real breakout film, but his first like real feature film, and that is Dogtooth, a Greek movie that came out in 2009.
I wouldn't even consider The Lobster's breakout movie. I'd say it's the favorite. The
It's probably
Lobster,
the
like,
I mean, he wouldn't have made what's it called, The Killing Sacred Deer or The Favorite without The Lobster.
but The
Like,
Lobster
The
has
Lobster was
like,
his first English language movie, and I think like that was
yeah.
the first time he said he ever had like an actual budget to work with and was able to pay his actors. So
Yeah.
I consider that like his breakout movie, except Colin Farrell and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I am a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan. One might say I get huge for Yorgos Lanthimos, just in general.
Have you seen his face? I mean, we get it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is one of my favorite directors and writers. I saw The Lobster like a while after it came out, and it like blew me away. And then from one of my English courses, it was like a film essay course, film analysis course, and I wrote about The Lobster for it, and I wanted to compare it to another movie. So I found the excuse to watch Dogtooth. I was like, oh, now I have to illegally stream it for my essay that's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I watched Dogtooth, and it like completely blew me away because like I found this consistent style with Yorgos, and this is my second time watching it, and I would say that the movie definitely benefits from a rewatch. I would say that it was a little slower on a rewatch, but I mean, with the subject matters that this movie handles, because we're gonna go into full spoilers pretty soon after we give our like general
Do you
impressions.
want do you want to give a lay down of the plot real quick?
Yeah, so it's basically these three kids live in their parents' house, and their parents don't let them go outside at all. So their whole world consists of what is in their house and in their yard. And they're told by the parents that if they go outside, they're going to die. And their parents manipulate basically everything that they believe in. So, for example, things that we would call, I think like water, like a glass of water is called a no, like a salt. Like they just pass the salt. Like so, they say salt is called the remote. So he's like passing the remote, and she hands him like the salt.
Yeah.
Like things like weird things like that. And basically, they're told at some point that once their dog tooth falls out, they'll be able to leave the house. So they're basically just waiting for their dog tooth, which doesn't exist. That's like the point, for their dog tooth to fall out, and then they'll be able to leave the house. So is that a good general plot synopsis?
I would say, yeah, without spoiling too much.
Because
I think,
like, don't want to spoil anything.
yeah, it's a weird movie. I feel like is where we should go, just like right off the bat. Not the movie for everyone.
Yes, definitely not a movie you watch with your parents or
I
your
have-
Watch
significant
by
other,
yourself.
So
or your brother, sister, or your family,
Okay.
or anyone. Maybe your
So-
dog. That's
so-
it. You should
so
watch
I-
it alone.
So I was watching this last night before we get to like our general thoughts, and
Yeah.
this is not a spoiler for the movie. 5 minutes into the movie, someone comes in and they have sex. I was like the scene where Christina walks into the house, and again, we'll get into more detail. I just want to put the story out there. Christina walks into the room and goes to the brother, and they're standing there, and he's standing there shirtless. My mom like came downstairs, so I paused it, and she was like, she had to like work on like the tremor or something to like get the Wi-Fi signal like boosted, and then she went upstairs, and then like I unpaused it, and they immediately got naked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god! It was a second later. I was like, holy crap! But like immediate like sex scene. I was like, oh thank
Yeah.
god.
So yeah, this movie is incredibly. I was surprised. I forgot how inappropriate this movie was. Like,
There's a lot
like
of dick in this movie.
the extent they go. Like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of just like realistic violence. That feels very weighted and awful. But I'm the only one who saw this movie. This is both of your first times watching it, and
Yep.
I love pretty much everything Yorgos has done that I've seen. I don't know, Mark, what did you think of Dogtooth?
Well, I should preface by saying this is the fourth Yorgos Lanthimos film I've seen. I've seen The Favorite, Lobster, The Killing of the Sacred Deer. I loved them all. This movie is it's hard to put into words, as demonstrated in these first couple minutes of the podcast. When I watch a movie, I try my best to not like analyze it as I'm watching. because I just want to like give myself over to the movie and just experience it. And I couldn't help but trying to like figure out what everything meant as I was watching it. And I was just analyzing, like, what could this mean? What could that mean? And it didn't take away from the experience, but I was sort of forced into this position to just try and derive meaning from all these extremely weird scenes.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that I really enjoyed it, and I can't say I don't know how to explain why. It's like, it's sort of like, I think you mentioned this when you before Tyler saw it. You said it's like a coin flip. This is a coin flip movie where it's just either you're in or you're out.
Yorgos really, I said this in my Letterboxd review, like he's one of the most like, he does not compromise as an artist. Like in any of his movies, really, even his bigger budget movies, he doesn't, he commits to like a thing. And we'll get into spoilers eventually, but like he just commits to like this dryness. It's like eating like a pack of saltine crackers, and it's like and he gives you nothing. He gives you no like sort of generic like Hollywood cliche or anything here. It's just like this absurdist tale. But that being said, Tyler, as someone who I've seen the Alps. I've seen all of his movies except for his first one, and I think they're all great. And you've seen most of them but you don't like, and you like them except for The Lobster.
So I am the lowest, I think, on Yorgos out of all you guys, and I think that's just because of like personal taste. I don't necessarily find dry humor as, I think, compelling as you guys do. I would not say I love any of his movies. I really like The Favorite, and that might make sense. It's his most mainstream, and it's the most accessible movie, I would say.
Movie bro.
Yeah, I was okay. So
Go
every
watch
time
Redemption.
So every
Go watch
time
Pulp
I say
Fiction.
something criticism of Yorgos here, Matt's is going to insult me, so we should prepare for that. Killing of a Sacred Deer is one that I want to rewatch. I remember thinking it was good, but like one of those movies that's so odd, it's impossible to like gauge how you feel in the first watch. And I've seen The Lobster twice, and The Lobster just does not work for me. Matt,
Twice?
I've seen it twice. I watched it when you first recommended it to me, and then I attempted to rewatch it a few years later, and I did not like it. After you told me it was like your third favorite movie of the decade, Matt, I was like, I'll give it another shot.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll give it another shot. Maybe I was wrong. And I watched it like, nope, doesn't work for me. I don't know why, because it just doesn't, like, some part of me just rejects that movie. Dogtooth is complicated. I think Dogtooth falls somewhere in between Killing of a Sacred Deer and Lobster to me. I think it's closer to Killing of a Sacred Deer than it is to Lobster. I think this is a movie that is confounding, but in a good way, but also one that I don't find super interesting. And that's a weird thing to say. I can recognize its strengths in its directing. I like its switching of, it constantly switches between handheld shots when it's kind of more close and personal to these long takes where characters will like walk through scenes. I appreciate its insistence on remaining abnormal. And its jarring like violence is like very like, it's like Ebert describes it as a car crash that you can't look away from. Completely agree. The performances are great. I just left the movie going, I was kind of bored. And I don't know what it is about his movies, but something about them just makes me so uninterested to watch them. I think this is his best paced movie because I think it's his shortest outside of the Alps and Canada, because all of his other ones are about 2 hours. This one's 95 minutes. And for that, I was like, I think it goes a lot better and smoother. But I have no desire to watch his movies. I don't know what it is. I want to rewatch
I think The
The
Alps would
Favorite.
probably be your least favorite. Then.
Really?
I don't think you like The Alps at all.
Okay. I wanted to rewatch The Favorite this week, and like I wanted to watch The Alps. But every time I like sat down to go put that Favorite in, I was like, do I really want to sit and like watch The Favorite right now? I didn't, and then I watched Godzilla. So that's where I'm at. That's who I am. I could see Matt hating me. I just like, I want to talk through this movie a little bit because maybe by the end of it, I'll end up like, give me guys your thoughts on it and like tell me why you like it and stuff like that. And maybe I'll like, I'm like a Play-Doh that can be morphed on this one. I think there's really good stuff in there.
So we can bully you into giving it an A.
Yeah, you can peer pressure me into giving a good grade. I don't know. There's stuff that's interesting, and there's stuff that I remember. I just kind of like, it just kind of passes through.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the directing because I don't know exactly what to make of it, because I found the directing style to be extremely unique in this film. So the first time technically I watched Dogtooth back in the summer, but I only watched the first like 30 to 40 minutes. So I watched like the first half. And so watching it this time, since I already knew what the first part of the film was like, I was more attentive of the other aspects, and I was paying attention to the camera framing um, and a lot of the shots have the heads of people cut off. They're standing, like for example, that first scene where that first sex scene, like the first like 5 minutes, when
Yeah.
they're standing, their heads are perfectly cut off, and that seems to be like some sort of consistency throughout the film. Um, I didn't know what to make of that. I was like, this is interesting, and then also the fact that people are having dialogue with people who are outside of the screen. So the camera will be on one person, and they're talking to someone, out of frame, and as well as like shooting them from behind as they're talking with someone out of frame, and it sort of gave you this sort of disconnected feeling between the characters. And um, I don't know. I don't know, like, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? I was like very aware of it in the first half, and I don't know. Did you guys feel the same way? Did you pick up on that stuff?
It's almost like fly on the wall. I think this movie is just trying to, I think Yorgos' intention, with kind of what I said earlier, without any without any Hollywood cliches, like it's just to, like, to saturate any sort of glamour this movie could potentially have. Like, this is like the flattest, like most like grounded. This is like the world's smallest dystopian
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
This is
house, and
like
then
this is technically a dystopia.
it's a
It's just
house,
very
and then it's
small.
a what's it? It's a house in a white factory. That's it.
Yeah,
That's the movie.
yeah. And going what you said with people's like weird shots of people's heads not really being in frame. There's like the shot of like the factory, and it's like you see like part of the factory, and then like one, and then like there's a building like before that's like taking up half the screen. It's just like this weird shot, and it's not, and there's nothing special about it at all. And it's like I was like laughing when I saw the shot because it was just so mundane. It just seems like someone
Yeah.
took like a camera out and just like took a random picture without really like trying to frame anything, and it
Yeah.
was like, but it was like funny. So like I don't really know what to make of it either, other than I think it's just to make the movie feel as mundane as possible. And then it's like when these like horrible acts of violence and like these like these like weird sexual acts happen, it just feels all the more like intense. I don't know. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, I think all of it is like I remember reading a review where it's like all of Yorgos's characters sound like some like aliens trying to impersonate humans. Like, and it's just kind of how it is. He is so committed to the uncomfortable here,
Yeah.
and I think the shots do help. I think this might be my favorite directed movie of his. Like, I think it works wonders for the type of story he's trying to tell. Where it's just like these like even like the dynamic shots feel flat because they're shot like kind of like a like with a little bit of dimension, but the dimension is on a white background, so it all feels very compressed despite there being a lot of space, and it just leaves you like very like forced into what's happening here. And I think it works to kind of create this sense of like we're trapped in this world with these characters, but then there's almost this like aloofness to the tone. So despite our like we can step back and look, and these characters are like dealing with this like entrapment and this like horrible stuff that's happening to them, but then they're just kind of like, all right, let's see who can hold their breath underwater the longest, and it's just kind of like fun and jovial, and you're just like, what? It's a
But
little.
also it's like, but like the games are also, like the basis is like
Yeah,
inflicting pain on each other. Like
yeah,
there's like the chloroform thing, and
Mhm.
Sue wakes up first, so you can keep their hand under scalding hot water the longest.
yep,
Mhm.
Um, like the mundaneness is causing them to like seek thrills in like the most dangerous, not like the most dangerous ways, but in like unnecessarily dangerous ways.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, did you guys? How did you guys interpret this film? Because I feel like there's many different ways to interpret this. Um,
I got a
So
couple.
yeah, so like I listened to Mark Maron's podcast with
Mark Maron,
Yorgos. What?
Mark Maron.
Mark Maron's podcast with Yorgos Lanthimos. Good job, Tyler.
That's my one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can do that.
And you saying that, and so this actually came out. The podcast came out around the time The Favorite came out, but like Mark Maron watched all his movies and was like asking him about each of the movies, and he said like for the purpose of Dogtooth is to show like how much someone can distort like the real, like how much someone can distort someone else's real world perspective. Um, so I feel this movie is kind of like a battle between mostly like the elder, who's like the main, like the daughter, the elder, like the oldest daughter is called the elder, and it's like her desire to get out into the real world is in contrast with the parents' desire to like morph the real world into something that's not really.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like I get that he said in the podcast that the whole purpose is to show like that you can only control someone's perspective so much until like eventually they're going to understand like what the real world really is.
Yeah. All it takes is like a little bit of outside influence with the
Yes.
introduction of movies.
And also just like internal like desire too, I think. And first of all, like you should listen to the podcast because like if you like didn't know who Yorgos was, you think he's like the most pretentious guy in the world. Like he's
Yep.
so down to earth. Like in his podcast, he was very funny. There's a part where like he was saying like, "Oh, I should have you, Mark, on my press tours because you interpret my movies so well." So when someone asks me a question, they go, "Oh, well, I'll just direct this question to my friend Mark over here."
Yeah.
And he has like that Tarkovsky sort of approach where like Mark Maron was asking him things. And he goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just this is how I decided to do it."
Yeah.
So it's not like everything is soaked in
Meaning.
directorial and writer intent. This is kind of like, oh, I just wanted to do this. That's kind of like my bare bones interpretation of it. I think it's just like it's just showing like the psychological desire that young people have to resist whatever, even despite like the huge control that the parents have on them and how they've taught them to be afraid of everything else outside of their house. There's still that desire to like go out and make something for yourself. That's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I had a few like I feel like some like subtle commentary on like a patriarchal society with the father being like the overarching controlling influence and then the brother almost being more controlling than the women in the situation where he's given more kind of like liberties in terms of like physical contact and stuff like that. And things seem more catered to him. I know it may have been commentary on there's like this definitely like childhood innocence and retaining that out of the fear and the unknown. But yeah, it's like manipulation. I mean, I think Yorgos is definitely interested in relationships and relationships with our world. I mean, you just have to look at The Lobster that's an entire movie about connection and relationships and stuff like that. That's just like a very surface thing of The Lobster. It's just like I remember I watching it and being like I'm more interested. So my big takeaway with the Dogtooth is it is somehow a hard movie to watch, and yet I wanted more. I don't know why. I think what they presented is good, but I wanted a little more of like the manipulation of the world because it feels like we only get a small kind of like facet of that before kind of stuff breaks loose. And I guess spoilers. We'll eventually we'll talk about more on that, but I feel like I wanted like more manipulation. I wanted more like influence of them like encountering new things. Like you have the stuff with the cat, and I thought the stuff with the cat was really great. Where again, spoilers, the brother finds like a feral stray cat, and then everyone's terrified of it. And then so he kills it with like shears, and then the father goes like, "It's a cat. It's the most dangerous animal out there." Like, and it killed your imaginary brother over there.
Killed your brother who you've never seen.
Who you've never seen, but you think there is. I wanted more of that, of them having to encountering like new world situations where it's like the influence of the outside world is constantly pushing on the boundaries and the parents constantly deflecting it and I wanted it more weird. And I know that's odd to say. I wanted weirder stuff in it. I wanted to go full, like, kind of like this is a manipulation and control. I don't know what you guys thought of that.
I see what you mean. That makes sense. A little more, variables introduced throughout the film. I was just thinking, like, when you said that you wanted more, I was thinking, like, oh, what could have added to the story? And I was thinking, how could I Americanize this? And in tangential,
like my alien thing last week.
Yeah,
like in tangential to the story on the property with the family. There'll be like scenes where it cuts away to like an FBI agent going about their day, and then like the third act is them like walking to the house with a gun late at night, and then there's like a shootout with the dad or something.
And like they're all like crawling, like all the children like crawling through the walls and stuff, and like all this
stuff. Yeah.
Directed by James Wan.
James Wan.
Dogtooth.
Dun dun.
Yeah, I think when I was watching it, one thing I found very interesting, and also I feel like I don't know if like there's some certain commentary on like Greco social norms or anything, but what I felt particularly pertinent to like American culture or like the nuclear family or something is specifically the incidents with the cat. And like, we need to arm ourselves, and this is the enemy, this harmful, it's a cat, completely harmless, but it's like, this is the enemy.
I didn't say get like a lot of like American commentary. Like we gotta buckle down and grab our guns and get ready for
Yeah.
Yeah.
the evil invaders. But
Mm-hmm.
I just got like criticism on like the universal like problem of overparenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say more of that. I don't think I didn't get like any sort of criticism of like maybe like American culture. But yeah, like your parents telling you to be afraid of certain things. It just like the control parents have that like on like a young innocent mind. Like if like my parents when I was 5 told me that like rabbits were the most evil thing in the world, I'd believe them.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, I wasn't stuck in my house my whole life, so like you go outside and you realize these things aren't actually evil.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know, Tyler.
There's also like this weird sense of like you fear of like the fear of like disappointing parents. And I think I don't want to jump ahead to like Hallmark moments, stuff like that, our favorite scenes. Like my favorite part of the movie is when like they like imitate themselves being dogs, and like the sheer like commitment of just being like, this is what's happening, and like all the actor, it's all played completely straight, like everything else is in this movie, and they're all on force barking, and
Yeah.
like the dad's like meow meow bark 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 bark, and it's like this like back and forth for like 3 minutes, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, what
Yeah.
is this? And it's just like it's played so straight that it's almost like that was when I like laughed, and that was when like the dry humor got me. I was like, oh, see,
Yeah.
this is what I like. There's just like I don't know how interesting a lot of this movie is to me outside of like a few stuff. I think the there's an ending sequence which we'll get to, which I found so incredibly compelling that I just like I wanted the rest of the movie to be like that. But when they're like playing like games and they're like kind of like living their daily lives, and when it gets into a little bit more of the like the little darker stuff later on, which we'll get to when we start talking about more detail, I just found it. I was like, I wanted like weirder, and I don't. I feel like that's all it comes down to is I can recognize the fact that this movie is well made. I just didn't find like 75% of it that compelling to me.
I feel like if it got too weird though, it would lose like its like real world mundaneness, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um, like I think the ending is so cathartic because it's like the one time where it actually kind of gets a little bit dramatic. Um, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But like in like the fact that like basically the younger daughter is being sexually assaulted by the police officer, the security guard lady, because she doesn't really
Oh
know
yeah.
like what's
yeah,
going on there. And like the fact that that happens and nothing is really brought up about it, I think works better for me. Because it's just like he just doesn't know, and it just makes it even all the more disturbing that like this it makes you question like the security guard's morals and things like that, and like everyone's
Yeah.
just a terrible human being outside of like even like the brother is kind of a terrible human being as well.
yeah. But the thing is, though, like he doesn't know. Like that's the
Yeah,
issue. Is like it's this control. I do have one comment, and this is gonna jump way to the end. But I saw it. I was like, did they establish this, or did I miss something? Is there a weird? Okay, we should also clarify real quick. There is like incestuous stuff happening in this movie. And it's
and like
played.
George R. Martin blush.
It's yeah, I know, seriously, and it's played so straight that it somehow works within the movie, and it doesn't feel like it's weird to look at, but it makes sense within the movie. At the end, before they find out, spoilers alert, that the daughter has knocked out her dog tooth with the dumbbell, and one of those scenes where I went, "What the fuck? This is amazing." Um, the younger daughter wakes up the dad by licking him, like licking
Yeah,
his hand and licking. Was that a stat? Did I miss something?
There was something that I picked up on that I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And it's a shot of like I think uh the kids standing, and the youngest one has bruises on her knees. And
Oh,
I don't know what that implies, but
is
that's
there?
something
I
that's
mean she was going down on the security guard a lot. Like there's like when she's like sitting on the chair.
Yeah.
Um, so but she like it's
no
like
no no no
established
no
that she likes to
the
lick
youngest one,
things in general.
The
Like
youngest
what?
one.
not
Yeah.
the oldest one, the youngest one.
Yeah,
So
isn't there a scene? Is it like the first time that the security guard like
that
isn't
was
she
the
like
older
No,
daughter.
she
That
gets
was
like
the
the
older.
headband?
That was the
no,
oldest daughter.
That was the oldest daughter.
That was the eldest.
yeah
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
Because she
yeah
gets
we're
the
talking about the
headband, and then
youngest.
they eventually she gives the headband to the younger daughter by hey, lick my
Oh,
shoulder,
okay,
and
yeah, all
that's
right.
but I God, you caught that, Mark, because I remember seeing that and going like, do I have to rewatch like some of this movie now? Did I miss like
Yeah.
there's like this like a horrible like abuse of power already more tacked on? That's not like it like I remember I paused the movie at that point and like looked up. Like I was like, did I miss something in this
Yeah,
movie?
and like he's not even creeped out by it too. Like he lets her lick her he
That's
lets her
that's
lick
the
his
point.
ear, and it's so creepy.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I was like, whoa, I missed some I was convinced I missed something. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
That's interesting. I thought that was weird. I thought it was the younger daughter that like first was with the security guard, then
Yeah.
eventually it
No.
switches. But no, okay, that makes more sense to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good catch though with the bruise. I didn't notice the
I
bruise
didn't know
legs
that either.
either.
Damn, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
That's because it was in the first part, and I was like trying to pay more attention to the surroundings. But
Yeah.
was-
Also like the scene that like was really creepy was when the security guard like gets beat up and she's like, I don't want to see you anymore. With that line where he's like I hope that your children are disruptive. Like he just like
Yeah.
completely like roast her.
yeah. Yeah.
I hope your children have bad influences and have bad personalities. He says
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
personalities,
yeah.
and you're like,
It's like that.
does
And
he
then like
kill the security guard?
no, he
Uh,
just beat no. He just
she's
beats her
like
up.
she's like obviously like knocked out or something
Yeah.
at the end. She's moving.
Get bashed with a
Um,
VCR
and then
twice.
so they have to choose. So then they have to choose between he has to choose between the daughters. The son
Yeah.
does. And like another like weird kind of commentary is that he doesn't get to choose them based on like which one he likes more based on their personality.
Yeah.
He has to be blindfolded and then feel like their breasts or their butts and then choose which one he wants based on that, which is like the weirdest commentary. Like there's a
Exactly.
lot to extrapolate from that.
There's a lot of
And
justification.
it's in the bathtub too.
Yeah, and they're all just cool with it. Like they like sit up, like oh touch, like they're like just fine with it too, which is
It's like very. It's just there's a weird commentary, and it's Yorgos is. I feel like Yorgos should have been bullied more in like middle school. Be like, you're a weird dude. It's like let's just make fun of Yorgos.
his dad was a pro basketball player in Greece, so no one's gonna bully him.
They should have though, because then we wouldn't have gotten this some of the weirdest stuff.
We need this art.
I just do we.
We need a brother feeling up both the sisters in a bathtub to
Take it out
know
of context.
the extent of cinema.
Take it out of context. Take that line
Take that
out of context. Take it out of
That's for the
context.
Film frauds clips.
Film
Yes.
frauds clips. I
I
don't know.
can't wait for film products to get famous and like that clip just be everywhere. I don't even have any siblings, so it's okay for me to say that.
Oh god damn it.
Okay.
I'm back. Okay, so I'm actually curious about you because before we get into like more like breakdown what happens, Matt, you have seen all of his movies.
Yeah.
Can you rank the Yorgos movies? Except for you haven't seen Kaneda.
No, I've not seen Canada. I would
Okay.
say like it probably would go Lobster is number one. It's like my top 3 of the decade, honestly. I
Yeah.
love the Lobster. Top 3 or 4, I can't remember.
I think 4 was Skyfall for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I would say 2 would probably be the favorite. 3 would be Dogtooth. 4 would be Killing Sacred Deer, and then 5 would be Alps.
Are you not a fan of the Alps?
I like Alps. I just think Alps would be interesting. I think it has like one really good social commentary thing, but like I'd say like the characters are less developed than like the other movies.
So going back to Dogtooth, I have a question because you said something at the beginning of your review that actually intrigued me. You think this is you don't think this movie, you think this movie has slower parts? I think this is by far his best paced movie.
I'd say on rewatch, I was bored at certain moments.
This I was surprised because one of the longest movie experiences I've ever had was The Lobster, where I paused it and I was like,
that movie goes by like
I can't do it.
like
I
a TikTok
paused it,
video.
and I had an hour and 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm going to like shoot myself. I was so mad the first time I watched it and paused it and was like, are you fucking kidding me? This by far, like this ended, and I was like, whoa. I was like, that's the movie. I was like, oh, dope. I was like, oh, it flew by. Like it's like I think it's paced wonderfully because I think what Yorgos does really well here is throws in some of the like the odder moments, and I think he intersperses them and spaces them out well enough. So you have these like slight lulls that are then immediately juxtaposed by this like kind of like more harsh like beating and like or like getting hit with the VCR, and then it's cut by like it's like VCR. I don't know if that exactly happens, but then you have them blindfolded and they have to like find their mom, and that's like a few minutes, and then it's immediately cut to something else more extreme. And I think he paces this really well through. Where it's like a 95, 96. I think it's like 95 minutes. Yeah. where he like paces it and it just kind of flies by, and I was like, whoa, that's great. That was the first Yorgos movie where I wasn't bored for a large section of it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Mark, what did you think? Because you're also about the same boat as Yorgos movies as I am. What would you rank his?
I watched The Lobster like 2-3 years ago now, so let me think. I really enjoyed The Lobster the first time I watched it, but that was like way before I was seriously into movies, so I'm sure I'll have a differing opinion.
Yep.
Either I'll like it a lot more, or probably like less if I rewatch it. But I remember enjoying it. I think I probably would rank it one as well. I mean, I found it to be so quirky and odd that it totally intrigued me when I watched it.
I'm not looking forward to having to fucking rewatch The Lobster.
Can we just fast forward to my picks again so we can do The Lobster?
God damn it.
And then Dogtooth probably, and then Killing of the Sacred Deer. No. Killing of the Sacred Deer and Favorite are kind of tied, and that's what I've seen.
I'd say the Dogtooth is the most interesting commentary.
I think I'd agree as well.
Then like The Favorite doesn't really have like commentary to it. It definitely feels like because it wasn't written by him.
It wasn't?
No, it was like the script was written like 10 years before like the movie was
geez.
actually made. And then like he had like a friend like edit it up. So it does feel like a Yorgos movie in some regards, but it's not. You can definitely tell it's not really like a Yorgos movie.
Oh yeah, it was written by Tony McNamara and Deborah Davis.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I feel like this movie's like, and I love movies that do this, and it's movies that sort of feel like a blank canvas where you can sort of project your interpretation onto it. Like it's like Yorgos has handed you a paintbrush and paint and was like, okay, figure it out. That's sort of what this movie feels like. And I like that. I like because it offers you the opportunity to have a different experience each time.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the strongest traits a film could have.
This movie feels like a novel. Like the depth of everything going on. I don't know. I just feel like it's so just like compact with things that I don't know. It feels very like literary to me. Sort of like a Kafka-esque novel, absurdist like sort of thing. And like like people. Another good thing about Yorgos is that like the weirdness is never really questioned by the characters. It's just the norm for them. Which I appreciate. Like going back to like what I was saying really earlier about the real world. It also shows, I think, this movie that the real world is controlled more by humans than we know. Like I'm talking to you guys through a computer, and I only know this is a computer because as a society, in the English language, this is a computer, and that's what it is. If someone came up to me and was like, "Why are you talking on a sausage right now?" I'd be like, "What? This is a computer. Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I grew up calling this thing a sausage my whole life, so this is what it is.
Yeah.
Things like that I think are really great too. Like it makes you question like a red light is only a red. Like God didn't decide that a red light means you have to stop. We as a society collectively have decided that a red light means stop. If you grew up your whole life thinking red light means go, then when you go into our society, you're screwed.
Yep. Yeah.
Things like that I think are really interesting as well.
It is, Matt, and we can flex our English majors that this feels very literary. Look at this, Matt. Yeah, look at us go. We're so great. Don't look at Mark. Mark's not an English major. He doesn't count. Can we talk about? I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about the fact that what does the dad do for work, and how can he afford a place so nice?
He's like a factory manager.
Is he a manager?
He's always in the office.
Okay. I just want to throw it out there. I think I'd be very fascinated if this movie. Well, I guess this just ties into like if there's more outside influence, but if the father was like not a rich man, and they had to like live more with like society closer by, because the only real sense we get that they live out far is when the father picks up Christina, he blindfolds her, and you get this sense that it's a far drive just because they get a few shots of them in the car together. I think it would have been more interesting. Again, a lot of this is more interesting. I want to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the ending from when they do a anniversary dance for the parents. Because I think that is by far the best continued sequences in the movie. For me, at least it is. And I also think it's the most compelling. I feel like we should break it down. So they go, they're like, we're going to do an anniversary dance for the parents, or the parents tell them to. The brother plays the guitar. He's shown throughout to be kind of like a musician. He plays the piano, he plays the guitar, stuff like that. And then the daughters do a dance and then eventually the daughter, one of them gets tired, and then the eldest daughter does. I had to look it up. It's the final dance from Flashdance, the movie.
Yeah, Yorgos said in his Mark Maron interview that he's a huge fan of Flashdance.
Okay, I had to look it up. I was like, where is
Yeah.
this from? Because it was very choreographed. It freaks out her parents or freaks out her mom. It freaks them out in the Yorgos sense, where one of them gets up and goes, "Go to bed," and that's the most like freak out.
No one actually shows any emotion in a Yorgos movie.
Yeah, that the mom's like, enough. She then goes to a mirror, or when they're sleeping, she goes to a mirror and bashes her teeth with a dumbbell a few times. Yorgos never flinches the camera. He goes, "You're gonna watch this because this is the world they live in." She then goes and hides in the trunk of the car, and then everyone is running around finding her, and then they can't, and then they go to work, and then the movie ends on the shot of the trunk, and then that's the movie. And it is so goddamn compelling that the movie entirely was almost redeemed just for me because of that like one sequence. Like I was like, that was like, if there's a great like ending for movies, that one I feel like should be like really, that one was just like really kind of like, I was like, whoa. I was like, this is great. What'd you guys think?
I think I agree with the ending. I think I read this in one of those like screenwriting books that I read, and it was like, the ending should be unexpected but inevitable, and that's sort of, I think that's a good application of that principle in this film, because that final shot where you're staring at the trunk, that was like suspense at its peak. You're just waiting for it to just like pop open a little bit.
Yep.
And it never comes, and then you get the black screen, and it's just like, oh shit. Again, this is like the leading up for interpretation. You're cut off right at the last second. He's edging the audience. So I thought the ending was very good.
Matt?
Yeah, I would agree. The ending, elevates the movie so much for me. It just shows, like, as I was saying earlier, like, no matter what, parental or societal restrictions, like, you enforce, like, they're going to find a way. Like, certain people are going to find a way to break out of it because, like, they have to know what's outside. And I like how they don't really show her interacting with anyone else outside. It's just, at this where it ends, because that's like her accomplishment. And, I don't know. I thought the stuff was, the ending is so great. And the actress, whatever her name is, one second. Angelique Papalia. Yeah. She's great. She like, especially when she's like bashing her, like her face with the weight. And she just like smiles evilly in the camera. Yeah. Like, she plays the heartless woman in The Lobster.
Ooh, okay.
And she's also the main character of Alps as well. Yeah, I mean, like, her performance is so great, and Dogtooth, and like that scene especially, I think she's just great. And
can I throw one scene that I legitimately laughed in? It's when the plane gets thrown over right in the driveway, and they're like, "I'll see what I can do," and go on the road. And he opens the gate. He drives a little bit up,
it's
and then
so
he goes
mundane.
back. It's so mundane. That was the one where I was like, "Oh, that was like, it worked for me." Like, the humor, like, it just got it for me. But I like the, like, he's like, "I'll see what I can do. I'll try to get the plane." And it's just, and then opens the door, grabs it, and it sounds like so excited.
Like, there's so many scenes where I just wonder, like, when they're filming it, like, and you're just giving them direction. Yeah. Like, I just wonder how what the vibe is like on set.
Like, all right, this time you guys are all gonna get your knees. You're gonna bark for like 3 minutes.
I didn't.
Drinking in a bathtub. And...
I didn't find this movie funny. I hardly found any scenes funny, especially that scene we're talking about on the topic of the plane and the road.
Yeah.
I like the implication of that, because you have to keep that sort of image in the kid's brain that you cannot take a step outside of the property.
Yep.
And it was just, there was just a whole bunch of implications behind that scene. And also, since we're on the topic of the plane, I was thinking earlier when one of you guys were talking, and I was like trying to structure some scenes in the movie back in my head. Remember when the son is laying in the yard with the plane and he's going like this?
Yep.
And then the eldest gets mad, eventually slices his arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does that scene come before the plane falls in the garden?
No. Yes. Yeah.
It does come before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that scene before, the eldest claims the plane is hers when she hasn't had the opportunity yet to get to it first until later on in the movie. Does that make sense? Do I make sense to you
Oh
right now?
no, I think when the plane goes overhead, I think it goes, it will be like when it falls, it'll be mine. Like, and then the
Yeah,
mom slaps her and like, it'll be yours if you deserve it.
yeah. But
I
she
think
didn't earn it at that point.
she hadn't, but I think it's like, oh, so you're asking like, why does she like cut the brother and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Or
why is she so mad?
I think it's just like, I think it's just that like the introduction, like the movie like escalates in violence. Like it's kind of like violence has been like slowly
Yeah.
like they have somewhat taken back violence as a weapon against them and started using it because now a lot of their games are hurting themselves and then they started escalating to hurting each other. And I think
They're
that
all just
was
so mundane. They're so desperate for like these thrills that
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's like why
Okay.
these things happen because
It's
they're so like restrained otherwise.
yeah,
That's how I interpret it.
it's when she like he like brother gets his knee bashed with a hammer. You don't see it,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
like,
just
oh, it was a
scream.
cat.
Yeah, it was the cat, the evil cat,
and the
and he
father's like stuck. He's like, oh, I told him the cats were evil,
yeah, and
so he
then
has to go along with it.
I kind of like that like use of violence again to like come back. You know what? You guys are kind of talking me into this movie a little bit. Like I still
Yeah.
find some of it like I I can respect a lot about this movie. I still like don't find a ton of it super interesting, but I can respect like a lot of what Yorgos is doing here, and I do want to clarify that there is a part of me that goes, you know what? I do
With
like
the
the
Michael
movie.
Bay, Fast and Furious loving popcorn chopping masses are telling you otherwise.
Yeah, my little small P movie roller coaster
When Vin
brain's
Diesel
like
gonna punch someone in
wee.
the face?
Halfway during the movie, I slept walk to go grab my Godzilla Blu-ray. I was like,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Godzilla has so many genius themes,
I
especially
mean,
um,
when Godzilla rips the monster mouths open and then
goes
shoots blue
ah.
fire down his throat.
Hey, it's great.
um,
So much to say about society.
so in Dogtooth, I think my favorite scene was definitely the part where she's where the youngest is calling the eldest Bruce, and she's like stopping, and she goes,
Yep,
and then she looks, she moves positions, and then she goes to
yep,
practice responding to her new name.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a brilliant scene,
yeah,
even though how simple and mundane it was.
yeah. The fact of like, I didn't realize they didn't have names until about like halfway through the movie. I was like, the
Yeah,
elder. I was like, oh wait, they don't have
yeah,
names. Do they even
yeah.
call him like mom and dad in this movie?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like that's something on a
He's listed
rewatch.
as like father in like the IMDb thing, so I'm guessing that.
Like father, mother. Okay. Interesting. Do you guys have any other points about this? I don't feel like we touched on the score, which is when it's in, it's effective, and when it suddenly
And
cuts
I
out,
couldn't say anything about the score, to be honest.
yeah, it's there's not often in it, but there's a few times where like there's a jarring
Yeah.
lack of it during the violence, which I think is effective.
I just want to say I appreciate the elders Rocky Balboa impressions.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Pretty funny.
I think one thing we should probably just quickly address is the mother's role in the film.
This is my point about
Because,
the fact that the son has almost more of an importance in the family than the mother does. She's like a
well,
nothing in this movie.
that's right, but also, like, okay, I'm just like, okay, she is, married to the father, obviously. And so she knows what he has to do. Like, she knows what phones are, and like he has a
Yeah.
job. But at the end, you see her barking at the end of the driveway, like
Yep.
she's playing the role.
Yeah.
And I'm just like trying to figure out like what is going on in this woman's head. Like
That scene confused me too.
what is this character?
Because you like, I think that's you kind of solidify the fact that she doesn't really like she's not really as high ranking as you might be led to believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the start, I think it's basically just the dad controls everything, and she might be a little bit higher. I mean, she's a little more worldly than the children, but she still like has to listen to the dad.
She just seems a little bit younger than the dad too. I wonder
Not
if
by
there's.
that much.
I wonder if
I didn't
like,
get that.
you didn't get that. Is she just see? Maybe it was like the fact that he was like had like graying hair slightly, and she was like blonde-ish. But I think that ultimately ties into like there's a commentary about like a patriarchal society a little bit and who like controls basically like everything. And that's where I got it. As I remember seeing that end sequence and going, okay, I kind of see where they're going here, but I can understand people going like, what's the role of the mother in this movie? Because she does feel she is the least important character in this movie. She has the least impact out of anyone, less than Christina. Christina influences them to the outside world and sparks like the revolution.
Yeah, she gives the elder books and movies and stuff.
Yep, the headbands. Yeah. I think it's you know what? This is a movie I might rewatch. Like out of all the Yorgos movies, I could see myself rewatching this one more than any other one.
Well, you're gonna be watching The Lobster in about a month or so.
Not looking forward to that. God damn it! I'm gonna give you fucking hell before that movie. I'm gonna recommend like such a miserable experience.
Well, I mean, we already recommend some of the worst movies, so it's not like you can really go much lower than Black Hat.
You'll know about that. We'll see.
So, should we move on to grades?
Let's go to favorite scenes and then Blackout moment.
I already said mine.
Yeah, mine are just like she knocks a tooth out of her face in the mirror.
Okay, well, all right, let's go to grades. Let's go to grades.
Yeah.
Matt.
No, you go first. No,
yeah, Tyler goes first.
Hold on. We grade stuff on an ABCDF scale of plus or minuses. If you're new here, that's kind of what we do because I said so. Am I going first?
Yeah, you're going first.
So I'm actually like...
Tell us the grade, and then you can explain.
I'm actually going to give this movie a B.
Okay.
And out of the pure soulness that I can respect when a movie does things that are interesting and when the movie does things that are well, and sometimes it's just not my taste, but not being my taste doesn't take away from any of the good things of the movies. And I think that's what I don't like about like a modern criticism is people go, this movie isn't for me, but they don't like respect that the fact that like there's a lot of like talent in like a filmmaking. And I think talking this through has actually really helped. I might rewatch it, like it a slight more, but this isn't a C movie. I don't think there's enough like negative aspects in here that reward it, or not reward it, but degrade it down to a C. So I'm gonna give this movie like a low B if possible.
Okay, Mark, what would you give it?
I'm gonna give it an A. My reasoning being is as I mentioned before, I love movies that are open for interpretation because they invite rewatches and it allows the viewer to have a unique experience. And I think that's just what I love about film and what gets me excited about, movies in general. And this film is one of the strangest I've ever seen. And even though it is so unbelievably strange, it never really felt like it was strange for its own sake, regardless of how strange it was.
Pretentious strange, basically.
It felt it deserved every scene felt warranted, and I think that's a testament to the filmmaking. I think it's a testament to the story building and everything. And I think this is a genuinely a great film, and I can see myself rewatching this many more times.
Yeah.
So
I was going to give it like a B going in, but I think from this discussion, like there's so much greatness in this movie. And I think the discussion we had elevated it for me. So I'm gonna give it like a really low A. I would say like material alone, like this is like an A. I would say like on rewatch, I was bored at quite a few moments.
Which is baffling considering I really like, I thought it was paced so wonderfully.
I was like in a weird, like I wasn't like, my mind was sort of distracted as well. I should clarify. Yeah. Like I don't like blaming myself when I don't like a movie, but I would just say like while watching this, I was like for some reason just distracted.
Yeah.
But like I mean like the discussion we just had, I think was really great, and
yeah, that's all you, Matt. There you go, you got it.
But this movie's just so like rich with really great commentary, and I love Yorgos' style. He's such a unique filmmaker, and I'm so glad this movie exists to talk about because it's so interesting. And again, it's not really like this is like an A for people that like love like daring movies and entertainment. Like I would not recommend this movie for like people just want to watch like a good movie, like want like a fun time or something.
If someone was a serious like fan of cinema, and they asked me for a movie recommendation, the only condition I would ever recommend this movie is if they had seen like The Lobster, The Killing of Sacred Deer, and actually like them.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be the only condition I would ever recommend this movie.
Like you can't be like a movie bro, like, oh, I watch the Oscar nominated movies. Like you have to be like, oh, I've seen Tarkovsky's Stalker and I watched it 5 times. And
you tell me someone who loves Godzilla can't be like, I'm just gonna go Godzilla and then right into Dogtooth.
I'm gonna watch Dogtooth with my family. Oh my god.
There's a lot of penis in this movie. I want to clarify. Like I was like, oh my god, it's a dick. Oh, there's another dick. Oh, there's a dick on a movie now. Like, whoa.
So I was gonna give it an A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised, but You know, like Yorgos Lanthimos, time goes on, and next week
Matt,
is
what's our call? Yeah, it's no. Next week is actually we're gonna review a new movie. So Matt, real quick, what's our call to action? Oh yeah, thank you guys. This is our Dogtooth review. Yeah, thanks. Cool, Matt. What's our call to
how I
action?
suddenly transitioned from the Dogtooth discussion into like what we're doing next time, and you immediately derailed the whole
I went
thing.
doo. I basically fell down some stairs.
Yeah.
Matt, what's our call to action? And then what are we reviewing next week?
Like, comment, subscribe, comment, film fraud, as long as it's me. Let us know what you think about Dogtooth and like Yorgos Lanthimos movies, because I'm very curious.
What's your
He's
favorite
such like a
Yorgos movie?
divisive director. I would say next week we're doing Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yep, comes on
HBO
the 12th.
Max.
Yep.
Because that comes out February 12th, so it'll be very exciting to watch that. I think it has good reviews so far.
It does. It's an Oscar contender when the Oscars eventually come out. So look at us.
Yeah.
Being
So new movie, yay! And then
movie.
after that, we'll be going back to Mark.
Yeah.
With
Mark, have you chosen what you're gonna do for recommendation yet?
I'm gonna do Badlands. Terrence Malick.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, they'll give me an excuse to watch it.
Mark will watch. I mean, Tyler watched every Terrence Malick movie in a week, and then say he had no time to do anything.
Oh my god, that is on the week of my February break from teaching. I could absolutely watch all Terrence Malick movies.
And then this week, Tyler will be publishing the December What We've Been Watching video.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oops. Yes. Well, I'm going to publish our December recommendation video in February. You're welcome, everyone. Hey, listen. I mean, if you like what we talk about, that's just more recommendations for you guys. Spoiler alert: I give all my recommendations are amazing.
But we'll never know because they never get published.
We watched Black Hat. We had to review Black Hat on this channel. I will never let that down.
You're welcome. Mark, since you don't like it now, I can help you respect I can help you understand what a good movie is after Black Hat. You're welcome.
I was like, the social commentary Dogtooth was like B-worthy, but like Black Hat, when he's punching a guy in broad daylight and no one cares, that was like some really great.
All right, thank you guys for watching before it turns into a Black Hat roast. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I'm your favorite film fraud, I know. Thank you, everyone. And this is a guy. Oh crap! I guess final word. Goodbye.